Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas. I'm joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Daddy Maloney.
Yeah, I want to know who's daddy. All right,
You are. I mean,
No,
Among us, or just in the world?
among us, two listeners.
It's clear. It's clearly
who's
Johnny.
daddy. I want to know.
It's clearly Johnny.
It's Johnny.
Yeah, we don't have to have a long. I mean, we can for fun have a long argument about this and pretend like we don't know who's daddy, and then at the conclusion we decide who's daddy. But let's be real here. We all know who daddy is. So
There's no tension at all. It's very obvious.
Right,
You're the oldest. You have the kind of handsomeness that a proper daddy should have.
Yeah.
Not a father, a daddy.
I'm getting gray.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
pretty
that's
daddy.
I cannot believe he's saying these things.
No,
He knows.
But
He has
it's
to know.
fucking amazing because it blends in with the blonde.
Fuck.
Oh, you mean like extremely like sexy and hot?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Idiot.
God. All right. All right. Let me adjust my pants and get
Yeah, I'm
ready
gonna
for the
say.
show. Okay.
We're all worked up. We're a minute in. I'm already fucking turned on. All right, do you guys want to talk about popular culture and nerd shit?
Yeah, I have a thing, and I'll start because I only unfortunately have one thing this week, and I'm sorry about that. A few days ago, I was sort of remarking on Twitter about the fact that on my actual show, Renegade Cut, like I would love to talk about foreign films more often, but the fact is, none of them do well. They just don't. There's like one exception, but like out of all the times I've tried, it just doesn't really work. And I wish I didn't have to be a slave to the algorithm, but like
Look,
I am.
Leon,
that's what
Like you
life
can
is
come
like.
here and talk about that shit anytime.
Well, that's what I thought. See, so like yesterday, I was like, you know what I've been meaning to do? I've been meaning to watch this movie for a while. And it's the kind of movie that it's not going to show up on Renegade Cut, so maybe I could watch it and then talk about it here. And the movie is called The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, directed by Louis Buñuel, a director I rather like. I just hadn't seen that movie. But here's the thing. I got about 20 minutes into it, and I got distracted with something else, and I just didn't finish watching it. So I completely blew it. The first week I was going to try to do something.
Hold on. Okay. What has Buñuel done?
Oh, well, my favorite is The Exterminating Angels. It's hard to describe. Well, you know what? It's not. It's not hard to describe. It's just hard to explain. The story is these people get together for a party, and they can't leave. But I don't mean they can't leave like it's Saw, like a door shuts and there's a voice.
No, like
and I don't
like spatial.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say. And I don't mean they can't leave like there's a force field. I mean they all want to leave, but they are compelled not to.
Huh. So
and they
emotionally
just spend.
driven.
They don't get it, and no one else outside does either. And they spend the entire movie kind of going crazy, trying to figure out what's going on, and then it just ends. And it's hard to explain. It's hard to describe, but it is a great movie. I was really compelled the entire time. It's very, very good. Simon of the Desert is also a good one. If you want to check that out, it is about a guy who talks about religion standing on like a pillar for the whole movie, and all of these all sound nuts, but they're very. That's kind of like his thing. What little I saw of The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie is these people get together, and again they're usually like these upper crust fools who, and they're like mocked the entire time. Like that's the gag. This isn't like watching like a movie that like someone does they exclusively do about like middle class or upper middle class people.
Right.
I mean like
right.
the director is like like deeply mocking them the entire time. They go out to dinner, and it turns out the chef or the owner is dead in the back, but they're still doing the restaurant, and they're arguing about whether or not they want to stay. And then, but I don't know what happens after that, because I got distracted. I'm busy. I'm doing something else, and I haven't finished it yet. Maybe I will report back. But I did watch another movie this week. So who wants to hear my extremely cold takes about Mrs. Doubtfire?
I do. I just want to say, I think you buried the lead on the Buñuel thing, whose name I cannot pronounce. Cause,
it's okay.
I mean, they teach you in film school about Un Chien Andalou, which I probably mispronounced, is the Salvador Dali film they collaborated on, where the person gets their eyeball slashed by a razor blade. It's like a really famous movie.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I wanted to go Peter Greenaway, because, like, what you described sounded a lot like The Thief, the wife, his cook, and her lover.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that movie, but I've done an episode on it.
Yeah, I know. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Similarities.
There's bits and pieces. I mean, I can see a similarity, but the difference with that is that Buñuel's movies aren't gross. They are.
Have you seen Un Chien Andalou?
I have not. But what I'm trying to say is, the ones that are just him, the ones that I've seen, I should say, they don't sicken me to watch them. Whereas like A Z and Two Knots, and The Thief and all that, whatever, I can't even remember what it's called. I just couldn't stomach watching it. Yeah, I just couldn't stomach watching it, even though I had to, because it's my job.
Fun musical facts. Un Chien Andalou is a song based on it by Pixies called Debaser, and Zed and Two Knots, the other film we just mentioned, has a song based on it by the Mars Volta. Both incredible songs. So,
Neat. Okay,
listen to them.
All right.
I do not like the Mars Volta, Austin.
You're absolutely insane. We talked about this before. You like At the Drive-In or Drive-Thru? I can't ever remember.
No, I don't like either.
Insane. Absolute mania.
Just die with me in a coffin, and we'll talk about it for eternity.
All right.
I
respect your ability to be wrong. Leon, tell us about Doubtfire. I saw it when I was a kid. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. So it's a classic '90s comedy, but it's not a '90s comedy that I've rewatched like in as an adult. I just watched it like a couple times as like a youngster.
It's kind of iconic in that you have to watch it once and be like, yeah.
Excellent review.
It came out in 1993, so I was 3 years old, and I vaguely remember it being on at my friend's house with my next door neighbors.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater because I'm an oldster.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So I just have a few thoughts about this movie. Okay, so the obvious thing I need to say, and just get it out of the way. First of all, there's a few like transphobic elements, or I shouldn't say elements, more like lines to the movie, but clearly in a movie that has no idea what any of these words mean.
It has aged badly.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it never comes across in a mean-spirited way.
It comes from a long line of like gender swap comedies going back to like before Shakespeare's time, right? Like half of Shakespeare's comedies are like, oh no, I'm a girl, I must dress up as a boy to go to this thing. But then as a boy, I have to dress up as a girl for this reason. And then my love interest is a boy dressed as a girl. As like that's I don't know what it is. People love that shit.
Thank you for your contemporary rewriting of Twelfth Night, Austin.
I was literally about to say, how do you like my 12th night? But yeah, they didn't have any idea that gender, or I'm sure a lot of people did, right? Transgenderism is as old as humankind,
sure.
But like the mainstream, and it just never occurred to them that this wasn't just a funny thing they thought of. It seems like.
I didn't know about transgenderism until like fucking, I don't know, 8 years ago.
You know what? I remember learning about in Native American culture they're called two-spirit people.
Yes.
I think that's where I understood where I learned the concept from. Was like it was just it's a considered like a supernatural thing, but normal to their culture. Not all Native Americans are in many cultures, but that's where I learned about it. I think in high school because we had to take a bunch of Native American history classes. One of the few things Florida's education system has right is because we slaughtered all the people who lived here, we have to learn about them. And that was one thing I learned. So it's been a while for me. I don't know. Actually, you said 8. I mean, I was a high schooler like 8, 9 years ago, so probably the same for me.
I had to learn. Like,
Sure.
Nobody taught me. I didn't get any schooling. There was nothing.
There wasn't a lot of education for that when I was in high school either. Yeah.
Like, most of the education I got was when I got involved with Steph.
Yeah.
And
I
love them for helping me develop as a person.
Okay.
I just looked it up. Two-Spirit has its own Wikipedia page if you're curious. It's a pretty deep well of information about a culture that most people don't know about.
Oh,
I recommend it.
Guess what? In Canada,
Mm-hmm.
Steph worked at reservations with Two-Spirit individuals.
That's
Yeah.
neat.
So, sorry, we cut off your Mrs. Doubtfire thing
No,
to
it's-
apply 2018 identity politics to it.
Oh yeah, what I was trying to say. Yeah, there are bits and pieces of that sort of like ignorantly sprinkled throughout the movie, not done with malice, but still done. You can't really ignore them. However, for a movie from 1993, was pretty impressed by the fact that there is a gay couple in the movie that is not played for laughs. Like they're just happy and they love each other and the kids are cool with them. That being Robin Williams' brother and the brother's basically spouse, even though this was before same-sex marriage was legal in America. And they help Robin Williams look like Mrs. Doubtfire. So there is that, and there are those elements. But what I really want to talk about is how much of a shit Daniel, the character that Robin Williams plays, is in this movie. The movie wants us, to sympathize with him because, he can't be around his kids anymore, and he's such a fun guy. But he's also just extremely irresponsible. Like, I sided with Sally Field's character, his now ex-wife, after the first scene, throughout the entire film. She's like a stick in the mud character, but she's just right the entire time. We're also supposed to sort of root against her budding relationship with Pierce Brosnan's character, but he is so handsome. For one thing, and for another, not a bad guy. He's not portrayed like the way you would think in a movie like this, where like, oh, the shitty stepfather or stepmother character is horning in, and they're
there's
mean.
no scene where he tells the kids to fuck off or anything.
No. Literally none of that. He loves the kids, and the kids are very good with him. He's successful, but not shitty about it. He's handsome, but he's not a dick about it either. He's just like a good-looking guy who is successful, but also loves children, and is just really interested in this relationship. He does not mind that there is all this basically baggage of getting into a relationship with a woman in her middle age with 3 children and a stepfather who is only recently out of the picture. He's like, nah, I'm down. I love these kids. I love this woman. Everything's cool. That doesn't happen a lot. The only other time I can think of that happening was in Liar, Liar, where the Dread Pirate Roberts played the stepfather figure who was also just kind of cool. He was just nice. He wasn't like cool like the way Pierce Brosnan is cool because he's James Bond. I mean that he's cool in that he was just like a friendly guy who like meant no harm to anyone. Usually that's not it. And I appreciated that the movie did this. I also appreciated that the movie did not have Robin Williams and Sally Fields get back together at the end. That's also the kind of thing. I really like that the movie was just like, hey, your because a lot of kids are going to watch this. They're like, hey, you know what? Your parents, might get divorced. There's like a 50-50 shot of that. It's fine. You're going to be fine. It's presented in a comical way that I think was mostly fine for kids. So yeah, I liked those aspects of it. I don't like the fact that Robin Williams' character, Daniel, it's not so much that he learned something and grew as a character. He just sort of fell ass backwards into getting a good job at the end. Basically the ex-wife just kind of like felt bad for him and said, okay, you can hang out with the kids from now on without makeup on. And that was it. That's the resolution. He didn't, there was no big speech where he was like, look, it's my fault that we broke up. I was irresponsible. Being a good father means setting boundaries. I'm sorry. I have learned from this now, and I just like to spend a little time with the children, and it would be helpful for you if I did anyway, so you wouldn't have to pay anyone. And then we're like, oh, good point. But that's not like a great ending to a comedy movie, one that's also kind of sweet. So that's just not how it shook out. But beyond that, solid picture. I did rather like it. There are elements to it that I won't defend, like I said. But yeah, this held up better than I thought it was. I thought I was going to watch this thing and be like, ugh, the 90s. Remember, because comedy ages so poorly. Yeah. But this movie is 25 years old, and it's like some of these gags are still pretty solid. These impressions are good. The best joke in the movie was maybe the worst. It's like a dad joke. Robin Williams is doing impressions, and then he says to the woman, "Do you want to see my impression of a hot dog?" And he just kind of like leans back and sits still. I thought that was hysterical. But yeah, it's a pretty solid movie. There is a lot of shitty 90s, like a rapping white person is funny. Moments that I did not like at all. There were a few cringy moments, but it's like, all right, I get it. This was made in '93. Okay.
You laughing at the hot dog thing, it definitely just drives home how much Johnny is daddy and you're just dad.
Yeah.
You're just very much like corny dad, and I love it.
Yeah, when I was a teacher, at the beginning of my second year at a full-time school, the principal sort of like made a speech, and there were only like a couple male teachers in the school, and she sort of like singled out me and said, and just so for the male teachers, some of these kids, they don't have fathers, and a lot of kids have sort of said like Mr. Leon, he's like a dad, so just keep that in mind when you interact with these kids. It's like, okay. So I get that, I guess. But, no, also.
I hate you, Dad!
Like, I completely get what that means, but also just there are no babies coming. There just aren't. I'm sorry.
Not my real YouTube, Dad.
Yeah, there's nothing to be done. There's nothing to be done about that. I've literally cut the cord. So
I can't remember if we talked about that.
Yeah, no, I had a vasectomy like not that long ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, something like that.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that.
It sounds like the kind of thing I would bring up, because there is some comedy to be like mined out of that. I guess
it's actually anything happens to our dicks, we immediately turn it into content.
There's nothing particularly funny about it, though. It just sounds like it would be funny. It sounds like the topic of an episode of a sitcom, and it definitely was an episode of Home Improvement.
Look, the three of us did discuss where cameras have been in my body.
Yeah. In my case, it was like it was such a non-event, the surgery, because like I'm not even knocked out for it. It was a local anesthetic. A lady just kind of like poked around over there, and I just kind of looked at the ceiling. We talked briefly because for her this is just like, this is Tuesday. This is not a big deal.
You could cut all this audio out and it would describe an entirely different encounter. You stared at the ceiling, she batted it around, and you made some small talk. I was like, damn, this is relatable AF.
We are making a weird episode, Jeff.
Yeah, this is fine. Anyway, yeah, that's
okay. Enough about that. Did you guys see Knickers?
Hell yeah!
Oh, it's the big steer.
He's so big.
Yeah,
I can't believe we didn't start with this. So don't listen to the failing Washington Post, who posted a slanderous article saying that the steer was perfectly average for their species and the cows around him were of a smaller species. Fuck that.
Big ass unit.
Knickers is a hero to large-sized gentlemen. He is a giant among cows, and I stan him.
All right. I don't have much else to add. All I know that there's a big steer. That's my entire knowledge of it. I haven't looked too deeply into this movie.
Lord, he coming!
And then they asked the farm, they're like, "Oh, what do you have to say about this big steer phenomenon?" He's like, "It's nice. I have some work to do." He's like solely not into it.
But it's not that. It's just, look, my timeline is for some reason mostly Evangelion the past few days, so that's the meme that keeps popping up for me.
Is Knickers an angel?
All right, so we got a lot of questions about this. There was 2 huge Netflix announcements since we last talked. First, Neon, that's not how you say it, dumbass. Neon Genesis Evangelion is coming to American Netflix at least next year. I don't know if Canadian Netflix, Johnny. One assumes, but the other important announcement is a live-action Cowboy Bebop show. 10 episodes, I think. I don't know how I feel about either of these things. Have you guys sorted through your feelings yet?
My feelings are that I've never seen Neon Genesis Evangelion.
You fucked it up too.
I've never seen it. All I know is that the theme song can be used against other videos because that is in my timeline.
It can be weaponized.
Right, it can. And what I know about Cowboy Bebop is I watched 2 or 3 episodes and did not like it, and then I just stopped watching it.
I cannot believe. I know. I already knew you had these opinions, but hearing them again is just.
It's not even an opinion. I just watched it and I was like, this isn't for me. Like I don't have any strong thoughts about it. I barely remember what happened. Yeah. There's a guy and he's in space and I think he's like a jazz cowboy or something.
He is a jazz cowboy, yeah.
And that's
shonen. That's a thing you have said you don't like.
Is that I should be cast as Spike Spiegel.
Uh-huh. I mean, I'd like to be cast as pretty much anyone. Ein, preferably, but I'll take just about anyone.
No, I mean, I know martial arts.
Yeah, you're going to do a big kick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can do a big kick.
Mm-hmm.
I can have wild hair.
We talk about how they keep adapting anime and manga for Western audiences and replacing all the Asian people with Americans, white Americans, and how it's really lame. But Cowboy Bebop's the one time where the cast is like pretty distinctly Western. They talk about Spike Spiegel is Jewish, Faye is Romani, and then there's a black character as well. Like that's the main cast. Like they're all pretty Western coded. So. Yeah. They could actually hire the lady from Ghost in the Shell whose name escapes me, and it wouldn't be that weird.
I can do it.
Or Johnny. Anyway,
that's.
I can Spike Spiegel. I could.
Scarlett Johansson, that was her name. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
all right,
Scarlett can play Faye.
I guess there's not much enthusiasm here. We've talked about both these series before, and also our thoughts on adapting anime. Even if the Cowboy Bebop show sucks, the original's still there and good if you like that genre, as most people our demographics do. Sorry, Leon. But I actually think this might be... I have some hope for this one, I'll say. Coming off of like the Devilman Crybaby adaptation, I feel like Netflix is starting to take anime more seriously, and the way they've been promoting it feels like they understand... that this is a huge opportunity and that they're not going to do a Death Note which was honestly, I think about that Death Note adaptation sometimes, and it's so bad that I kind of smile when I think about it. I'm like, fucking, I can't believe Willem Dafoe is in that thing. What were they thinking? It's not good, but
Austin,
yeah.
do you honestly think I couldn't do Spike?
Jesus.
I absolutely think you could, and I think that I would watch it, and probably just me. It would be our own special version, the Johnny cut.
Sure.
I think I might rewatch Eva. It's been a while, and I don't think it's good, but I do think it's interesting, and I kind of want to mull it over some more.
Okay, it makes good a weird kind of pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been tweeting about it, like, I can't wait for the next generation to be traumatized and then work through their trauma the way that even made me gay when I saw it, or whatever. Like, there's a lot of good tweets out there.
Like, it's honest in a way that a lot of anime wasn't at the time.
Yeah, it's a reverse power fantasy. I'm quoting someone whose piece, I've forgotten the author. Someone said it's like most anime at the time was a male power fantasy, but this is a male vulnerability fantasy.
Yeah.
That Shinji is a failure and pathetic in every way, and you identify with him in that way, and there's all these, sexy women that you have no connection with, and it's like you feel like a bad person about all the feelings you have, and they're all the body horror, the religious stuff. It's perfectly tuned for the confusing young, particularly male id, but I think anyone can get something out of it, even if it's barely animated and frequently incoherent. So,
it's what? No, I'm looking for the word. Like it is intravenous.
Oh, wow.
From like reverse intravenous from Shinji's experiments, his life, his feelings. Like we all just experience everything he sees in this terrifying frame where, like, I've had teachers in school that evoke sexual feelings from me.
Oh.
I've had friends that evoke sexual feelings from me, and I've done nothing about any of this because teacher thing would be weird. The friend thing would be improper. And, like, dealing with Evangelion was important for me.
Nothing makes you feel more normal by comparison than Shinji masturbating over the comatose body of his hospital-bound friend.
Look, that was the movie that happened after.
Okay.
But
that's an important caveat. That's very much like technically it's a bevophilia or whatever.
But no. I love the series as a whole to the point where, like, the last two episodes where everybody was like, hey, it can be okay. And then, the end of Evangelion came out, and it just... I love what it did.
I'm also excited for all the people who didn't grow up with it to see all the references that, like, the sources for all the references, because, like, Steven Universe frequently references Eva, and if you didn't know that, you'd just be like, that was a weird image, but, like, it basically went on to inspire a generation of artists and creators, and it was so inaccessible, right? Like, Eva hasn't been streaming anywhere. You had to buy, like, the DVDs or whatever if you wanted to watch it for I don't know how long. So all that being super accessible now I think it's gonna be like a renaissance of A, memes. We're gonna get a lot of memes out of it, and B, a lot of people being like, that's what that's from, and that's gonna be cool. So
you're right.
Also, the theme song slaps forever. So I'm done. Leon.
Yeah.
Talk.
I can't. That was my Mrs. Doubtfire segment was the only thing I have for this. I mean, I could talk about how much I like Mega Man 11, but like, what can I say that I didn't say before, and also many times in the past. I like jumping and shooting. It's good. It continues to be good. I've beaten 6 of the 8 Robot Masters since last week. I'll that's it. I've mostly just been working and occasionally playing that and watching a couple movies. I did see Robin Hood, the new bad Robin Hood.
Oh, no.
I guess I could talk about that.
Is it bad implied when someone says they saw the new Robin Hood? I feel like that happens every couple of years, and it's always bad.
Unless you're a fox, you're not a good Robin Hood. I'm not really interested. But like, basically my feelings about whether or not I was going to see it worked like this. I was like, I'm not going to see this shit. And then someone says, well, it's like a really anti-fascist movie. I'm like, well, maybe I'll see it. And then the reviews came out and says, oh, it's shit. I'm like, nah, I won't see this movie. And then I heard, oh, it's shit, but it's like spectacular in how it is. And I said, fine, I already paid for the AMC monthly subscription, so I might as well see this movie because it's
1 to 10, Leon. How sorry are you?
What?
On a
sorry,
scale
you
of
broke up.
1 to 10, how sorry are you?
How sorry am I?
Yeah, for seeing the
that I saw it? I'm not. I saw a movie. I'm that's not how I process things. I'm not a character from Miss U Science Theater where I pretend it hurt me. It's fine. I saw it didn't matter. I just saw a bad movie, and I'll talk about it.
I was just trying to do a comedy bit.
I know I can't though. I don't want to be that guy. So the movie sort of there does some. Here's some things that the movie does that I like. I like that the movie sort of like abandoned the idea that we're gonna make this like vaguely historically. I mean, obviously there is no Robin Hood. Let's be clear about that. But vaguely historically accurate, like in terms of like the dress and things like that. They just threw that out the window and decided to modernize things, like the Sheriff of Nottingham. He just looks like he's in like a modern fashion show. That's like his garments. It's fine. When Robin and his compatriots are at war in the Crusades, everything is tinted and their body armor is colored in such a way that it evokes modern desert warfare. Like they look like they're wearing flak jackets.
Sounds like a great movie.
I appreciated that they just sort of said like, fuck it, let's just, we want to, we're actually talking about modern times in this old movie. Let's be clear about this. And then they did. I like that they did that. And there are clear like modern day references to recent politics and the way that the Sheriff of Nottingham talks about the Muslims coming to get you and the terrorists, and we have to spend all of this money. The reasons that we're doing all of this and why you have to spend so much money is for your protection. And there's a lot of like really beat you over the head stuff about that. And I would be okay with that if the movie around the politics had been good, but it just wasn't. It was very the comedy was bad. The action scenes are just these. I don't know, these kind of like tired a million edits a second to occasional like slow-mo zoom in bullshit.
Sad.
Yeah, that I don't much care for. There is no chemistry between Robin, who is just called Rob in the movie.
It's me, Robert Hood.
not even a joke.
No, Rob who.
He's Rob, and Marion is she's a girl, and they love each other, but they can't be together for reasons. There's like nothing between them. It's really bad. I did not care. I don't like the actor. I'm sorry. I just don't like this guy. There's just something about his goddamn face. It's not
the highest level critique. The decent analysis.
No, hey,
yes.
Who's the guy?
It's a guy from Kingsman.
Yeah,
I
don't know his name, but I know you mean.
Yeah, I don't either. Egg or something. And he's like, I don't have anything against him personally. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like
Kingsman.
I don't like his style. There's something like that sort of like I'm gonna lip curl a little and like I'm smug but cool kind of look, and I just no, sorry. I just find, I don't know, something insincere about his acting style. I don't know. It's hard for me to pin down. There's just you ever like is there ever just someone who just sort of rubs you the wrong way, even though you have nothing really against them personally? It's sort of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I pitch you an alternate Robin Hood that you may enjoy?
Okay.
You don't seem enthusiastic. Do you not want to hear my pitch, Leon?
There's just none of them are good, but go ahead.
All right, so picture it, Sherwood Forest. You have the evil sheriff of Nottingham. He's beating up the peasants. He's hanging them for poaching in the king's forest. He's laughing maniacally. It's someone trying to just do Alan Rickman again. And what's this? There's a rustling in the bushes. Arrows. Pew, pew, pew. All the bad guys die. Who walks out of the bushes? It's Gritty. That's right, Gritty Hood, the Antifa hero we all need. And then he goes around, kills the king, goes to the next country, kills all their ruling class. He just overthrows all the governments, and then it's leftist, anarchist, gritty utopia.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. The modern.
Can I be Little John?
Yes, you can be Spike Spiegel in Jesus. My Gritty Hood.
Down.
So the little like modern conversations that there are like transposed into this earlier world that I liked were basically the argument of in the film is between Robin's point of view and Will Scarlet's point of view. Will Scarlet thinks that reform is the best course of action, whereas Robin Hood thinks revolution is the best course of action, and that is a topic in my sphere that I appreciate that was broached in this film, but again, the movie around the ideas just didn't really work. And it's not like you can look at this movie and you can tell just how much like set design and costume design and so much effort that all these people put into it. Mm-hmm. This movie is not for lack of trying at all. Like this isn't some like cheapo directed DVD bullshit. Mm-hmm. This is they people like devoted a huge portion of their lives into making this movie happen. It just wasn't good. To give you an idea of now the bluntness of the politics, to me that's always forgivable. I don't care. But the bluntness of the rest of the narrative is sort of the issue for me. For the best example of this is Robin is he's also a lord. So he by day he's a lord, by night he's Robin Hood. It's very Batman.
Yeah.
And he basically befriends the Sheriff of Nottingham as his lord, guys. And he goes into a room with the Sheriff of Nottingham and like a bishop, and then they walk through, and the Sheriff of Nottingham turns to the bishop with Robin Hood standing right next to him, and he says like something along the lines of, "So, Bishop, are we ready to execute our plan where we're actually funding the Muslims in the Crusades in order to grab power?" And he says this almost exactly the way I just said it. Mm-hmm. It's like he was like, "So are we ready for our evil plan yet?" And the bishop says, "Yes. In fact, do you mean the plan where we're actually on the opposite side and we're traitors because we're trying to take the throne ourselves?" And he's like, "Yeah, that plan." It's like, "Oh yes, let's talk about this openly next to this guy who I don't know." It all unspools from there. There's a lot of that stuff. That's kind of the movie. I'm not going to do a deep analysis of this movie because I don't want to talk about the fact that like the anti-fascist movement deserves a better movie, because I would rather just do a video about a good one. So this is really going to be it. This is really be it for me and Robin Hood. But the whole oh my God, Johnny, are you okay this episode?
Yeah, just
okay,
just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Sometimes it might just be the audio. You're kind of like coming in and out. Sorry. My bad. Wow. Now I don't know. So then at the end of the movie, Will Scarlet is burned in his face, and he has like a red mark on his face. So I guess now he's Will Scarlet for a reason. And he becomes the new sheriff of Nottingham because Ben Mendelsohn is dead now. Spoilers, I guess. And the movie, I guess at the end of the movie, it starts where the Robin Hood story usually begins, where like the sheriff of Nottingham is there, and Robin now has this merry man that just joined him, and that's the start of the Robin Hood story that you usually hear is like the end of this one. It's like prequel. It's like Robin Hood Begins. So that is the movie. It's pretty bad. I've seen so many worse movies this year, though, that like when people were saying, "Oh, it's like a spectacular disaster, you have to see it," I was like, "Is it though? Is it?" Because I've seen the Seven Guardians, which is a movie starring Kelsey Grammer, and it's just a gigantic piece of shit. It's like The Mummy and like something. It's nonsense, and there are spiders. Don't see it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm grading on a curve here.
I would love to see a movie called The Mummy and the Nonsense Spiders.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
I assure you it wouldn't be, because I've seen it. Okay. I promise you.
Fair enough. I have more stuff, but Johnny, do you want to jump in here and use full sentences for a little bit?
Leon, don't you know Ben Mendelsohn isn't dead?
Right.
You've watched Bloodlines.
Oh my god.
We can't do this. So we're spoiling this show. Anyway, Johnny, do you have any VR stuff? Any dick stuff? Anything like that? I mean, there's an overlap frequently.
I started again all of the Star Trek movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I saw you guys tweeting about these, and your opinions are baffling to me.
Look, I discovered something, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen Star Trek 3 all the way through.
It's a good one.
It's not, and that's where I guess we're going to start.
It is!
Oh no, I'm outgunned.
Yeah, sorry. It's not like a great film, but it is a good movie, and I would say that it is a better than just good for a Star Trek movie, because there are some stinkers.
Hell
but
yeah.
this one's like it's pretty good. There some eventful things happen.
Well,
that's
hang on. Let's talk total. I watched from 1 to mostly through 6.
Okay, so like the original cast movies.
Yeah,
they're mostly good on the whole.
1 is still my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Nah, 2 is my favorite. That's a basic bitch opinion, but I think it is true.
No, 2 is a great movie. I'm not gonna like down on anyone for
no,
2.
I can't. I'm down on that.
Oh, here we go. Spicy opinions coming.
But Austin.
Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about 1 Star Trek motion picture? Wait. Now.
Yep.
Did you see the director cut?
I don't know. I just watched whatever was on. I think it was Hulu. I watched it a while. We did a whole episode where I watched all the Star Trek films and talked about them. But
yeah,
I thought the first one had a lot of good ideas, and I liked what they were trying to do. It was just filmed in a very like languid way, where it was like everything took way longer than it needed to be. This is an old critique. People know about this, but I did enjoy it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
So, why is 2 your favorite?
I mean, 2 just has everything. It has the best performances in the movie. It has the dramatic death with the emotional payoff. It has the most memorable villain. It has the kind of thematic backbone of the the Shakespeare stuff, the Moby Dick imagery. It feels like a stronger, more cohesive film all around. And part of what I don't like about 3 is their race to undo it, which I understand they had to bring Spock back eventually, but just right away it just kind of undercuts the whole thing.
Well, the end of 2 is basically, by the way, Spock's not dead. Here's this pillbox or something on the planet, and we're obviously going to bring him back. To me, it seemed like a cliffhanger, where it's like wink. Yeah, it's like the end with a question mark kind of thing.
I get it. I mean, my problems with 3 are I literally can't remember a single thing that happens in it because it's really just a bunch of faffing around until they bring Spock back. Like, I love Christopher Lloyd, but like, what is his character's name or motivation? I couldn't.
Krug.
Gun to my head, I couldn't have told you that.
Okay, that's fine.
I watched it really recently too, and it's just like all I remember is Christopher Lloyd and the crew are opposed, and then at the end, Spock comes back. That's the whole movie.
He wanted the Genesis device.
Yep. Yeah, he wanted to bring glory and honor to the Klingon Empire by recovering the Genesis device, which was a basically Federation property. He was like into that whole thing.
I've never seen a Klingon motivated by glory and honor. That's a new twist. It's fun.
Look, you know what? You know what he's motivated by? Nationalism. That's who he is. He's one of those guys.
All right. Thank you, Leon.
He's one of those guys, and that's why we don't like him. And that's why when Kirk kicks him off the cliff, and he says, "I have had enough of you." it's like, yeah, me too. I've also had enough of not only him, but guys exactly like him. I'm down with that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It didn't really work for me. I think also, doesn't Kirk's son die in that film?
Yeah, the Klingon bastards killed his son.
It has like no... I did not remember that until just now. It has nothing.
Later in 6.
Mm-hmm. What?
Where Kirk is like,
you mean he thinks about it. I thought you meant his son comes back to life later, like Spock.
I mean,
the
whole moment comes back where Kirk is like, I don't trust my fucking Klingons.
Yeah, right. No, I like that there was a bit of, there was a callback to that, and it wasn't just completely thrown away. He was sad about it. But I also got to understand is that Kirk just met him. Like, this wasn't like a long-running character like Wesley Crusher who grows up along the series and then he dies.
Whoa, spoilers! I didn't know Wesley died.
I'm talking about like a child who is like the child of a main character.
Oh, okay.
But
damn.
No, Wesley does something different.
Yeah. So yeah, I like 3 as well. The whole there's this kind of dumb idea where like the even number Trek movies are good and the odd number Trek movies are bad, except when that formula does not work. So it's like, no, it's just it's more like some movies are good and some movies are bad.
I love
it's
one.
Like it's hard. Yeah, 1 is good.
I love
3
2.
is pretty. Yeah,
I love 3.
Yeah,
4 is weird.
Yeah, I don't love 4. People do love 4, and that's fine. I don't dislike it. It's like it's cute, and I like cute things. But to me, it's not a rollicking adventure. It's more like it's like that, like an episode of Deep Space Nine where occasionally they just play baseball, and it's like it's funny, and it's like, oh, this is a fun episode, but it's like, oh, this is an entire movie of this, isn't it?
Hey, let's all swim in the ocean and maybe get beamed up.
It's fine. I don't want to shit on the one movie that everyone agrees is good besides the second one, but there it is. I just think it's okay. The guy says nuclear vessels and stuff.
Sure does.
He does. The only one that's like deeply bad in the original cast movies is 5, and even 5 is bad in like a way that it's riffable at least, and I like the concept too. I like the concept of like, oh, what else is there to look for? Maybe God.
Obviously, I greatly enjoyed that premise.
Right.
The movie is incompetently directed.
It's not great.
It's very poor. But actually, I remember stuff that happened in it. That's the one with Spock's brother. That's what does God need a starship for? Like, I can remember the plot points of that movie more than 3. So it's not my favorite, but I think there's more to like in 5 than 3. Maybe that's a hot take.
The fun thing about 5 is basically in Star Trek Discovery, we learned that Spock has kind of a foster sister, or like a ward of his father or something like that, and like canonical purists like jumped out of the woodwork, and it says like, we've never heard about this woman before, this is unprecedented. And it's like, no, because Star Trek 5 lays down a precedent that Spock does not talk about his siblings. This is the first we hear about the fact that he has a half brother. It's just there it is. Spock just doesn't talk about his personal life ever.
They pull that shit so much, though. It's a really cheap drama device where it's like, oh, Kirk has a son. Oh, Spock has a brother. It's like trying to immediately get you invested in characters which are only going to have 20 minutes of screen time before they die.
Yeah.
Good point.
So,
fair enough. Although in Discovery, that's just your main character. I could have that argument, the Discovery argument another time, though. Johnny, what'd you think about 6? Because I think it's fine, but like it's also just a little weak.
I like the message of 6.
The Cold War stuff.
No, it reminds me of Wing Commander 4, which
Okay, I'm lost, but go ahead.
Yeah, you've never played.
Yeah. I don't play the Wings.
The Wing Commander games are... I don't have to do it. Yeah. So 6, I'm cool with. Because...
Okay.
Yeah, I do actually acknowledge that people in control have interests in war.
Okay.
And they're wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would hope so. And I like that Worf is in it. But it's a different one.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else real quick you want to do in that case?
I've been watching a series on YouTube called... well, actually, let me set this up because it's from people I've talked about before. You guys remember John Boyce, or Boy?
Yeah.
No.
He's a sports reporter. He did Breaking Madden, which is a hysterically funny series.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong. You the only time you've ever talked about sports YouTube before, you linked me to something about a video that was about unionizing a football team. Is this the same guy, or am I way off?
Yeah, that was another series he did called Pretty Good. That was like Randall Cunningham seizes the means of production.
Yeah. Is this the same guy?
Yeah, it's him.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right.
He's very good. Yeah, that video had a great quote in it. He's like, unions are a touchy subject. There are a lot of point of views. On one hand, some people think unions are good because they protect workers from their bosses and allow them to negotiate. And on the other hand, some people are assholes. Yeah, so John Boyce is one half. The other half is Felix Biederman from Chapo Trap House. It's a very popular leftist podcast. We talked about them before. I mentioned, someone asked in the questions if any of us listened to Chapo, and no one had, except for me, and I said they were a little mean for my taste. I actually still do listen because they're the only people who talk about important issues like teacher strikes going on in this country. They are still a little mean for my taste, but
I'm sorry. I just have to interject.
Yeah.
Real quick. They're the only people talking about important issues.
No, not only. You know what I mean.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Like,
there are thousands of podcasts out there, and I know, and I listen to a few, and they're also leftist, and well, they're still mean. But they're not like jokey dirtbag mean. They're just like, these people are terrible and they're awful kind of mean. Like we have to stop them.
Yeah. Like I couldn't find any good coverage of some of the labor stuff going on in this country over the last year in mainstream outlets. So I was looking for other places. And yeah, there's probably smaller podcasts, but Chapo, like I just checked, they make $110,000 a month on Patreon. Like that's how big they are. So
that's nice for them. I have listened to about 5 minutes of an episode of that because someone in my sphere, I guess, left tube sphere, was recently profiled on there. It's like,
yeah,
well,
Natalie Wynn was on a recent episode, right?
Right. I listened to a random episode for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, these guys are really mean and shitty. I don't so I don't want to do that. So I just didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think the term dirtbag left was coined to describe them. So that's what you're getting into. Right. Anyway, so John Boy and Felix Biederman got together to do this YouTube series. It's a 5-part. It's basically a documentary on YouTube. It's called Fighting in the Age of Loneliness. And it's about the history of MMA. We talked a little bit like a couple weeks ago about how none of us were really into MMA. But first of all, I'll watch anything John Boyce makes. It doesn't matter if I've never heard of it or don't like it. I'm going to watch no matter what. But the series is incredibly interesting. Both just like I like learning about stuff and the way it ties MMA into the economic conditions and the political conditions that kind of created modern masculinity. So it starts with just like some bare historical facts, like, oh, MMA came from, there's this Japanese guy who was too small to do traditional Japanese martial arts. He moved to Brazil where they had extreme poverty and it caught on as kind of a class mobility thing. Being able to fight was very helpful, but then it was co-opted by this rich family, the Gracies, who've kind of created this, multinational empire around MMA. And then it was having a hard time catching on in the United States because of our political situation where John McCain was very against it, for instance. And the second episode ends with this like plot twist bomb drop, which is who saved MMA in the United States? Who was the only person willing to host their events, the only person willing to invest?
I know exactly who it was.
Did you? Yeah, tell the audience.
It's Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually know. Like, you say like none of us know anything. Yeah, you know that you said like none of us really like MMA. Well, I don't know if that's exactly true since I've watched a lot of it, but I have weird mixed feelings about it, and that's mostly why I don't really watch it.
Why do you think I've trained in Shaolin Kung Fu?
To punch Donald Trump?
I
very
will
cool.
if it comes up.
Okay.
But yeah, I extremely recommend this documentary, even if you don't care about MMA, even if you think the people involved aren't great. I enjoy them, but I understand why you might not. Felix is the narrator. He has a bit of a lisp, which doesn't bother me, but the comments on the videos seem to say otherwise. It's a 5-part thing, so...
I wouldn't know anything about comments about the sound of a narrator's voice. Anything about that.
They used to say like you were too dry. What do they say now?
He has hair.
I'm too dry. You sound like you're asleep. And I was like, dude, no matter what I do, this is the sound of my voice. Mm-hmm. It just is. It always only goes up when I laugh. And that's like a sudden thing that I can't control. This is it. Okay. This is what you have to listen to if you want to absorb my sweet, sweet content. And that's all there is to it. Some people really like my voice and thanks. Some people are like, I really like your voice. It's like ASMR, man. I'm like, wow, thanks. I'm not trying to. I'm just from Baltimore. Everyone sounds really bored and tired here. I don't know exactly why. It's just the way it shook out. So yeah. So, I'm sorry. I skewed off. You were talking about the thing.
No, that's fine. I'm basically done. It's great. Watch it. Okay. I watch, Breaking Madden, pretty good. Chart Party, basically anything John does. And if you want to try to get into Chapo, probably listen to the ContraPoints episode where Natalie is charming, and you can get a little taste of the boys and decide if you like them.
Bite.
Okay. All right, were you guys ready for questions?
Anyone.
Sure.
Okay, he's going to fight you. Let's see here. I feel like we must have answered this at some point, but I don't remember, so I'm going to ask it again. Cosma Merida Kopika on Twitter, I fucked up your name, I apologize, asks, favorite Beatles album?
White Album.
I don't have one.
All right, we got White Album. I mean, I'm going to go with the boring answer, which is Abbey Road. I just really do think it's the best of theirs, even though it's not like a genre, bending as some of their more interesting work, but it's consistent the whole way through. I listen to it beginning to end anytime it's on, so... Leon, don't care?
I've listened to everything they did just because, the internet exists and you can just kind of do that on YouTube or whatever. I did that like years ago. Like, well, maybe I should actually listen to the Beatles, and I didn't really care for it. I like 2 of their songs.
That's pretty impressive because I feel like
Raccoon?
What? What?
He said Rocky Raccoon.
I don't even remember which one that was. It's Hey Jude and Let It Be, I think.
Oh, that's late stuff. I think of Rocky Raccoon. I was just in a hotel recently, and every time I see the Gideon's Bible, it always pops into my head.
Rocky Raccoon
Yeah.
checked into his room, only to find Gideon's Bible.
Absolutely. Cyretha asks, that's at LS Blackwood on Twitter, favorite SpongeBob moment, R.I.P. Hillenburg. So the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants died recently, R.I.P. to a real one. SpongeBob thoughts?
Never seen it.
Wow. You really are old, huh?
It just wasn't a cartoon. SpongeBob came out at a time when I was not a kid watching cartoons, but not yet an adult watching cartoons. You know, and now I'm an adult watching cartoons. But like there was like a time in my life when I was like, oh, this is a children's show, and I'm not going to watch it. But then you get over that shit and you watch Adventure Time because it's good. But that just wasn't a show for me.
Yeah. Johnny, any thoughts on SpongeBob? Did you miss it too?
I came late.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only started watching SpongeBob like 2 years ago. But I know that Steven Hillenburg wrote for Rocko's Modern Life, which was so important to me.
I did see that.
But yeah, Steven Hillenburg wrote for Rocko's Modern Life, which was one of my favorite cartoons in my early 20s. So,
yeah. I liked Rocko's. I think SpongeBob is probably the most formative cartoon of like my childhood. I'm definitely 100% in the demographic when that was a phenomenon. It's hard to pick like one best thing from it. I recently rewatched like the first season. That was actually when the hurricane was landing in Florida. We were like, we're about to lose power. Let's just see how many episodes of SpongeBob we can watch before the lights go out. We got, I don't know, like halfway through the season or something. And every episode in there is a classic. Like we could recite them word for word. So I couldn't even pick between my darling children.
I've only season like 16 or 14 or something. Like I'm well past its establishment.
Yeah, I tried to watch some of the recent stuff a couple years ago, and it was I couldn't. Like, I don't want to be mean. It just like wasn't good in the same way the old stuff was, which is like timeless. It feels like maybe that's just because I grew up with it. That's a nostalgia is a thing, but I don't know. It didn't speak to me anymore. I don't have an answer for this. Maybe you guys do. Trent's Falcon at Trenton Thorpe on Twitter asks, with the left gaining popularity on YouTube, not sure about that. Do you guys have any good channel recommendations for leftist YouTube?
Yes, I'm sorry, but actually, yes, that is actually happening.
Is it?
Leftist channels are gaining a lot of subscribers lately because publications are doing profiles of leftist contributors, and that is kind of why. Also, because of places like BreadTube on Reddit and other places that are kind of sharing the love, I guess. Also, some of us are just growing and, getting better, and therefore there will be more subscribers. I can recommend Philosophy Tube. That's pretty good. Ollie Woods does that show. Solid guy. I actually met him in person at VidCon.
ContraPoints.
A few months ago. We actually had me and him and like a few other people were at a table and we did like a workshop of sorts. So there's that. Johnny mentioned ContraPoints. Okay. Folding Ideas is good, although he is mostly focusing on media stuff, although he has tackled more politically stuff in the past.
I like Miles Power. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
Keep talking.
We sort of mentioned. Peter Coffin He does some very good videos. He actually watches my videos, so that's neat.
Yeah, okay. So Miles Powers' current videos include: Is atrazine turning the frogs gay? Waco conspiracies debunked. People that want you to drink paint stripper. Yeah, he's my guy.
What is his name again?
I'm Miles Powers. I am transplanting that.
Okay, I just found him. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I should also mention Sean. Does it's hard to explain exactly what his show is because it's not they are video essays in the sense that it is on YouTube and they are essays, but it is mostly a static image of just his logo with occasional clips. It's not, for example, like my show, which is just clips and diagrams.
Oh, Sean with the skull?
Yes.
I love him.
Yeah. So there's that. Riley J. Dennis does some good work. Yeah, there's quite a few. And I probably should mention one that Johnny mentioned the other day. Some more news.
Yes. Cody Johnston is a stellar person.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a pretty good Rex right there.
I've been looking at the question here, trying to find one that I have an answer to, and this one is stumping me. Let's see if you guys can do better. Lauren Cates at Lauren Cates asks, "What was the last album you bought in a physical medium rather than just digital?" Johnny probably has one.
Yeah. Ezra Miller. Not. No. Ezra Furman's Perpetual Motion People, which I bought at their concert.
I have nothing, obviously.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. I don't even have any CDs in this house anymore. I would have to imagine the last one was like when I was in high school, so
I have so many CDs.
Actually,
yeah, I used to have CDs. I just don't anymore. I have literally zero.
Actually, I have one. It's the Super Smash Brothers for Wii U soundtrack.
Sweet!
So, that's me. Let's see. We're almost out of time here. I got a wrestling question. Leon, let's see if you like this one. Turia Gale at the Xenochrist on Twitter asks, "How does Leon feel about Becky Lynch? Should she win the women's title? Parentheses.
Wrestling?
I haven't been watching much.
We're all concerned. I mean, that's why I worded that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't been watching much lately, but even before I stopped, Becky Lynch is just awesome. She's the best thing in wrestling right now, or at least the best thing in WWE. She's just great. All her promos are great. All her matches are great. She is amazing on Twitter. She's so good. Like on like another level. Should she win the Raw Women's Championship from Ronda Rousey? Yeah, she should. She should also just be WWE champion. That people for the longest time, basically in WWE, even though there's like two brands, there's always like the one guy who is like the Hulk Hogan or the Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or John Cena or whoever is like the guy that the company is centered around. And people have been looking for the next Stone Cold Steve Austin since he retired. And I love John Cena, but it wasn't John Cena because he just doesn't have that kind of cool appeal. He has a mainstream appeal which works, but he doesn't have an appeal to people where you would feel comfortable wearing a John Cena shirt at the club or something. That's just not gonna happen. People have been looking for the next Stone Cold Steve Austin for a long time, and it's Becky Lynch. You just have to pull the trigger on saying, okay, our top star is a woman now, and that's fine. so let's just make the company kind of revolve around her. To give you an idea about how much people love Becky Lynch, a wrestler named Nia Jax accidentally like stiffed her in the face a little too hard. You're not supposed to hit people at full strength, but Nia Jax is, she's sort of a big woman, but also not super graceful, and she injured Becky. Obviously, this was an accident, but the fans have boo her out of the building, Nia Jax, every time she shows up. Just because they know that like out of character, Nia Jax accidentally injured Becky Lynch. People really like Ronda Rousey, or they did, until Becky Lynch destroyed her on Twitter, but she's got problems. But people were like, I guess the average fan didn't care about that. But once Becky Lynch just destroyed her on Twitter, like over and over again, because they're in like a storyline feud where they're both like good, popular characters, but Becky's just so much better than her that it's just embarrassing. And now that she's the foe of Becky Lynch, everyone hates her because Becky Lynch is by default the one person everyone loves now. She's just very cool. And so, like, if the question is, should she win the Raw Women's Championship? She's currently SmackDown champion, I believe. Should she win the Raw Championship instead, since that's like the A brand, I guess? Yeah, but she should also just be champion. She should just be WWE champion. And that would be like the big story heading into WrestleMania, where like a woman is vying for the WWE championship. But they're not going to. It's almost certainly going to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Maybe by then I'll start watching wrestling again. WWE's whole existence is exhausting for me in my heart. I need to not have them in my body right now. It's they always say like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, so you can't boycott every company that's bad because they're all bad. But I need a break, I don't need to watch, so that's kind of how I feel right now.
We're almost out of time here. I did have something on my sticky note that's been here for a long time. I saw you tweeting about. I don't know if we've talked about it before, if you have any strong feelings, but before it's not so fresh in your mind. You watched Ash vs. Evil Dead, Leon?
Yeah. I watched the first 2 seasons, and I recently started watching the 3rd season, which has been out for a while now. I just hadn't gotten around to it. I just had other things to do, but I had some time the other day, so I started watching the first few episodes. It continues to be good. Apparently, this is the final season, and Bruce Campbell has said that he's retiring the character. He's not going to just keep doing Evil Dead stuff forever, and that's fine. He wants to move on to other projects. So that's cool. I totally understand that. But yeah, the show is good, and for anyone who has like just not watched it because it's like on Stars or something, then yeah, it is actually a pretty solid show.
Netflix, if you like.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There are ways to watch it. It's fine. But yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah. What I was saying. Yeah. The show. It's It has the humor style of like the Evil Dead movies, or at least Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, where it's kind of gross, but not. And there are moments where you're like, I wish the show didn't do that, just because it's kind of like some of the humor is like really juvenile. But
yeah. When I started watching it, like at the beginning, I was like, "Oh no, do I not like this character? Because he's kind of a fucking asshole."
Yeah.
And then it grew on me a little bit, and I got into it, and I did end up enjoying it. But there was a moment of panic there, like I haven't watched Army of Darkness in like 10 years. What if it sucks?
Yeah. The character becomes like kind of like cruddier and more vulgar as he gets older, like most people. Sorry. Sorry, look forward to that, everyone.
Not me.
But yeah, he
Come on.
he become.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not becoming cruddier and older. As the eldest person of this podcast.
I'm cruddy as hell, man. I'm crudding all the time.
Okay. But yeah, like he, his, the way he is sort of like exaggerated. That he gets, brought down a peg by his other, members of the Ghost Beaters, which is the name that they give themselves. It's such a good thing. Yeah, that's what the show is like. That is the level of humor in the show. There's a lot of like horror puns. It's good.
Demolition Derby episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm remembering it.
Favorite.
Yeah. I remember that second season.
Yeah. It's a good show. It's not perfect, but like what is, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. That's not.
We should just say that for everything now. What do you think about the new movie, Leon? Yeah. It's not perfect. Nothing is. All right.
Yeah. There is a void, and we're all gonna die anyway. So,
what if Netflix just changed their motto? Netflix, there's a void. We're all going to die.
Listen, like if you want like deep media analysis, that's what my regular show is. This is just me talking. I'm not smart. I can just write well. So there's that. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. All right, we can do one more, I guess, and then we can go.
Yeah, a lot of the questions were about Cowboy Bebop and Eva specifically, so we kind of covered that area. Let's see if we can find one that's not. Beep. Boop, beep, boop, boop. Yeah. We'll just put the Jeopardy music in here.
No.
Oh, Johnny.
We put best music of 2018 in. As we're Furman, Moonface, Nico Case, fucking like. God, I have so much more.
So this question is going to give me an opportunity to talk about something else. So I'm going to ask it. The Unemployed Historian at TU Historian on Twitter asks, since Leon recently changed his profile picture to a wintry themed hat and scarf, should we encourage further seasonal themed Leons? And how would you imagine them? So this just gives me an opportunity to talk about your cute new picture. You're all bundled up.
Yeah, I'm cold.
Yeah, look at it.
I felt like my avatar should reflect that. Yeah, that's basically it.
What are your looks like, Leon? You're famous for trying to look as smooth and good as possible.
I said,
what?
You got blankets?
Yeah, I have a blanket, but it's not. But like, it's still cold. I'm not buying extra blankets. That's ridiculous.
Oh, you poor,
all right.
poor.
But yeah, no. What are my looks like? My look.
Talk about your fashion, Leon.
Oh my god, my looks are not noticeably different depending on the season. I don't wear shorts, so I'm always wearing a pair of jeans or I'm always wearing a pair of jeans or black pants, or if I'm wearing a suit, I'm wearing suit pants. I'm almost like that. That's basically what I look like most of the time. I don't wear shorts, and I don't like wearing. I usually don't like wearing short sleeve shirts. I prefer wearing long sleeve shirts. But when it's the summer, I obviously can't. There is not a massive amount of variation in my clothes. It's just colder now, so I'm wearing my winter coat that I've had for many years because it still works. And that's basically it. I did buy a new knit cap. That I'm wearing in the picture because I think I lost my old one, and that's about it. It's black. That's it. I have a new scarf. I have a few scarves because sometimes you just want to accessorize. The new one I have is like it's just black and red and it's plaid. Yeah. I wish I had like a better answer to this, where it's like, yeah, the summer I wear flip flops and a Hawaiian shirt. Like that is not me. My clothes don't have a lot of color to them. I'm not flashy. Yeah.
I've never owned a scarf before.
Okay. All right.
Leon, you're wearing glasses in this picture. Do you wear glasses now?
Yeah.
I don't remember us talking about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wear glasses now. I mean, my glasses were in my previous picture as well.
Okay. I'm stupid. That's probably the main thing.
No, it's okay. That's totally okay. Yeah, my vision just got worse over time, and so now I wear glasses.
All right, I'll see you guys next week.
I don't... All right, we need to stop immediately. What? Oh my God!
I guess I have to haunt your dreams now.
Great. All right. Okay. All right. You're the dream warrior.
The Jonna
do
Duke.
it.
Now that you're